What unforgivable act by a celebrity did the public seem to forget too easily? Soulja Boy beat a pregnant woman into having a miscarriage. CeeLo Green, the way he straight up admitted to raping people BC he thought it didn't count if they were drugged. It was so disillusioning to see him still get features/invites/media attention after that. CeeLo Green going viral with a new song on TikTok after drugging a woman, raping her and then saying people who have really been raped remember. Floyd Mayweather beat the shit out of his former girlfriend, and got away with it because the judge allowed him to train for a fight he was headlining. Richards, Robert H. IV. The heir to the estimated $14 billion fortune of the DuPont family, Richards was jailed in 2009 for abusing his 3-year-old daughter sexually. In an attempt to clear his record, the billionaire offered to take a polygraph test. Nevertheless, he failed the test and ultimately admitted to the accusations. He could have faced a 30-year jail sentence, but his attorneys managed to have the accusation reduced to 4th-degree rape, earning him an 8-year sentence instead. But the court decided that he wouldn't fare well in jail, so they suspended his sentence and released him on probation. Boy George abducted and tortured a man in 2007. Film reviewer, journalist, and executive in the film business, Philip Burke assaulted Brendan Fraser sexually, but he was spared since he claimed it was all in joke and had no sexual intent. If any of us had raised that defense, we would have all been imprisoned underground. Why the fuck does Chris Brown still have a career? John Travolta denying his son medical treatment. Then his son dying from SUDEP. https://www.reuters.com/article/idukn05399200. https://www.mercurynews.com/2019/0/2/John-Travolta-and-Kelly-Preston-Hi-Fan-Scientology-on-High-1 He got his comeuppance now, but R. Kelly in the early 2000s peeing on a 15-year-old girl and recording it. People seemingly forgot and forgave him so quickly. Boondocks did an entire episode about it. After reading the comments, I feel like I've been living under a rock. Disgusting world we live in. It's weird how Roman Polanski drugged and anally raped a 13-year-old girl, then fled the country to avoid prison, and Hollywood basically said that's fine. It wasn't until 43 years later that the Motion Picture Academy finally expelled him after deciding child rape was no longer okay. But for decades Hollywood actors, industry executives, and award committees ignored the fact that he was a fugitive rapist and even signed letters of support for him. Chuck Berry has been lauded as the king of rock and roll. He's also a voyeuristic sicko who installed hidden cameras within the women's restroom of his restaurant. In his even younger days, he also did time for transporting a 14-year-old girl across state lines for sex. Curtis Kurt Johnson, S. The billionaire, whose family ran SC Johnson, a home goods company, was taken into custody in March 2011 on charges of molestation. The billionaire, whose net worth was estimated to be $4.2 billion in 2019, avoided a 40-year prison sentence and was fined $6,000. Instead, he was sentenced to 3 months in prison. Johnson was spared not just a brief jail sentence but also a fine that little affected his wealth and the requirement to register as a sex offender. Nicki Minaj supporting her rapist husband and rapist brother, trying to keep her brother from going to prison by harassing his victim with her family. Absolute trash. 28-year-old Jimmy Page in a relationship with a 13-year-old. I've seen a new rise in awareness surrounding it in the last couple years, but for like 30 years no one talked about how Karl Malone knocked up a 13-year-old while he was in college. Edit, originally thought it was when he was in the NBA. People seem to ignore how many musicians from the 60s, 70s, and 80s were blatantly taking advantage of children. Especially the musicians that are popular enough to basically be memes. That stuff probably wouldn't fly today, considering how Drake's texts are seen by the public, but I'm always surprised it isn't brought up more. Remember when a 16-year-old girl overdosed in Don Henley's house? He pled guilty to minor misdemeanor charges and then wrote a song about how mean the media was to him. Because I feel like almost no one does. Jack Nicholson beat a sex worker so bad in the 90s that she suffered permanent injuries. Dr. Dre hitting female reporter Dee Barnes in the face and attempting to throw her down a flight of stairs. Chris Brown beating up Rihanna. The current First Lady of France, Brigitte Macron, literally groomed her own husband when he was a 15-year-old boy and she was in her 40s. She was his schoolteacher and acted extremely unprofessionally when she started sleeping with her own underage student. The boy Emmanuel's parents told her to stay away from their son, as they did not appreciate a 40-year-old woman preying on their 15-year-old boy. She didn't care. She continued grooming poor Emmanuel and even pressured him into marrying her. Nobody is talking about this. Apparently it's considered okay by many people in France because they love each other because look, he married her when he was an adult. Boys can get groomed too. No, this was never okay. Emmanuel Macron is a victim of grooming and possibly CSA. Director and child rapist Roman Polanski. He romanced a 15-year-old at 43, then raped a 13-year-old, pled guilty to it, fled France to avoid prison, and has been on the run ever since, still working, still getting awards and praise. Vince McMahon being found out to have given something like $15 million in hush money to women he raped. Shocked by the lack of mentions to Jared Leto thus far. Didn't Corey Feldman say Charlie Sheen sexually abused him? I feel like that kinda just died and nobody remembers or did anything about it. Caitlyn Jenner killed someone. Tyreek Hill. Extremely popular NFL player who threw his pregnant girlfriend across a room. David Letterman had a bedroom installed at his studio so he could have sex with interns, and so he could cheat without his wife finding out. John Landis got 2 children and Vic Morrow killed while filming a segment of Twilight Zone, the movie. He was breaking child labor laws by having the kids on set in the first place, and according to their parents, never told them that they'd be near explosives or the helicopter. His next movie was Trading Places, which made a mint, and he also directed Michael Jackson's Thriller video, so he was not criminally convicted and he did not take much of a hit to his career. Tupac dropped his gun and killed a 6-year-old, and gang raped a woman. Travis Scott. So many people died and he knew. Everyone suddenly just forgot. Ted Kennedy after rolling his car off a bridge and leaving a young woman trapped in it to drown, and not bothering to report the incident until the next morning, https://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/Chappaquiddick_incident. Too many pedophiles and rapists to list at this point. Chris Brown beat the shit out of Rihanna and people still love him and buy his music and I have no idea why. Tom Cruise being a member of a cult that disappears people. Never meet your heroes, everyone. Jack Nicholson severely battered a prostitute he hired, causing permanent brain damage. Anthony Kiedis of the Red Hot Chili Peppers openly admitting to sang a 14-year-old while in his 20s with no repercussions and being charged with sexual battery in '89, only to pay fines and no other repercussions. There is a plethora of other accusations against him as well. His birthday just passed and it seems he is loved as ever by almost everyone.